Welcome to Get Tied On, ladies and gentlemen, racing fans. I'm Tom Amello. He's Michael Kipnis, the Wizard. We're back for another recap and review of racing from Saratoga. Been a busy 4 days. Michael, we got a 5-day week coming up.
Oh God, you have to remind me. That extra day was like being in heaven.
Yeah, well, it's Monday that we're recording this, so you must be finished with the Friday card already.
I'm finished with Travers card. I just started the Travers card.
That's right. There'll only be 19 races on Travers there, right? That's
right.
That's all you need. But the handicapping and the cards have been mostly perplexing. There are no giveaways and easy picks these days, are there?
You know, it's like every year we say the same thing. It's always tough. You have to predict right. You have to get into a rhythm. You know, it's just you got a colony of great riders. You got a lot of good trainers. It's tough. You got to guess right. You know, you have to guess right, and when you do, you better get paid. You better get paid.
You're absolutely right. For all of us, this is a game of push, 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 bang, you hit something. Or push, push, you get beat at the wire, your jock falls off, your horse falls down. Push, push, push.
I got a better analogy. This is my analogy, okay? My personal analogy. I get thrown into a grave, right? But there's a little opening. I'm not dead, right? There's still a little oxygen coming in. And I claw my way out over time, right? And that little opening, I put my hand through it, right? And I have like 3 fingers on the top of the grave.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, boom, I hoist myself out of the grave and I walk away. So that's the score. You wait.
It's funny. We haven't talked about this in this way. But you remember meeting Parlay Phil's friend, my friend Ponte from Texas, right?
Yep.
And Ponte used to say this: horse players are the only people who go to work with a shovel, and they start the day by digging a hole, and then you spend the rest of the day trying to dig your butt out.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And Ponte said that because in the way he tried to play the game, he always wanted to stop playing. He wanted to win early and watch the rest of the races. He wanted to hit his number. And I think, he had a pretty big number that he wanted to hit. And he tried to get him out of the first 3 races, which is why he said, I bring a shovel and I start digging, because he sent it in early, hoping to cash and relax for the rest of the day. But I like your vampire type analogy for reaching from the grave and hauling your sad, sorry butt out into the sunshine. Okay, I think one of the most interesting. Let's start here. I think one of the most interesting events this week was, I would call it the Prat fall, but it really wasn't a Prat fall. It wasn't funny, but it was an indication of just how athletic, how courageous, how quick thinking these athletes who ride horses for a living are.
I mean, it happened right after the wire. If it happened before the wire, you wouldn't have gotten, if you picked that horse and bet that horse, you wouldn't have cashed. But it happened right after.
Right.
You have to finish the race with a rider on. so
Well, that was a good thing for bettors.
Right. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like if you really watch it in slow motion,
It's ballet.
I mean, right. I mean, the guy should be, hired in his next life at Barnum and Bailey Circus or something. I mean, or be on America's Got Talent. I mean, something like that, because that was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and that he didn't get hurt.
Wow, that's the miracle. We interviewed, you sat with Richard Migliore for a 2-hour interview a couple of years ago, and Mig talked about the overall experience of falling off a horse and in the middle of a race, and yeah, it's sort of okay if you're last, there's nobody going to run over you, but if you're at the front of the pack, as it was in this case, it's just shocking, potentially devastating, certainly life threatening. And I asked Richard, do you guys practice? I mean, do you somehow go through gyrations as to what happens when you fall off a horse? Is it just all how you react in the moment? And he said, no, we don't ride around and then jump off or fall off and mimic the event, because you can't mimic the event. So it's such a in the moment reaction and decision making, and hope that everything goes well. And he said on air that horses try not to step on the riders, or they naturally try to avoid whatever obstacle they come across.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that early in the meet when the 4 horses fell and the 4 jockeys fell, and it's amazing that really there were just minor injuries. Nothing. The horses were fine and the riders were fine. Basically, that was miraculous.
Yeah, and I bring this up. We bring this up, to honor their abilities, and to call again to your attention that they have an ambulance following them while they're working.
Right.
We're just trying to pick a winner. There's no ambulance following us.
No, just the IRS.
Oh, okay. So let's go from that, from that to Irad's spectacular day, if you will. 6 wins in a row. The other guys are lucky he had a 5-day suspension because he's riding very well and he's getting good horses.
I was talking to my son and my wife yesterday, and I go, throw away the sheets, throw away any handicapper, just box the Ortiz brothers and Prat, right? And that's all you got to do. And I got this unbelievable stat sent to me today. I have to read it off my text. So, blindly boxing Jose Ortiz and Irad Ortiz Jr. and Flavien Prat in an exacta from the beginning of the meet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Irad was off, but when they all rode, when all 3 ride in the same race, the ROI is plus 28.9% profit. Okay. But however, they're 0 for 33 in trifecta boxes. So they have yet to combine for a trifecta box.
Wow.
If you limit this to just the Ortiz brothers, it's even more incredible with the exacta box. It's 6 for 81, but the ROI is 57.6%.
Wow. Well, that kind of says a couple of things to me. One, it says certainly they're the 3 top jockeys. it says also they're riding for the top trainers, owners, the top connections who have the top horses or near favorite in every race. Not every race, but for the most part, they're not riding 15, 20 to 1 shots, 12 to 1 shots. More often than not, they're rarely riding 8 to 1 shots. And they're riding live horses in almost every race, and they're competing for the most part against each other.
Yes, but what's amazing is the colony goes deeper than them three.
Yeah.
And to be able to do what they do and still do as well against the best colony in the country is even more amazing. I mean, it's just, they're all in a zone. All three of those guys are in a zone, and box them up in exactas. You can't go wrong.
Okie dokie. The main track, I think, has been relatively fair. I haven't seen any bias whatsoever. The turf courses are in need of what we're projected to get this weekend. We're going to this week. Tuesday, Wednesday are supposed to be anywhere from 1.5 to 3 inches of rain in the area. Who knows what we're going to get on the track?
Yeah, the hard turf course, the one thing that sticks out for me are the 5.5 furlong turf sprints on the Mellon. And because of how hard they are, the speed horses, the front runners, are setting such fast paces because they're grabbing onto the turf like it's like skating on fresh ice. They can't help but not go fast. And what that's happening is at the 8th pole, they're cooked and the closers are getting set up well. I don't remember too many 5.5 furlong turf races on the Mellon that have been won wire to wire. You see that particularly with Wesley Ward horses. They're all trained for speed. He's been awful with 2-year-old first-time starters going 5.5 furlong the turf because that speed is going out fast and backing up. That's where this hard turf course, you see it in the morning too, horses not like it. It's not good for horses, this rock hard turf course, because it jams them up too. And you don't know which ones are really being affected. I see it in the morning with horses that just are not changing leads because they're not comfortable over it.
Okay. Big favorite on the Sunday card. Grand Job. Billy Mott. I mean, this is a nice horse. 7 furlong specialist. Owned what Andy Beyer called an omni-fig pattern. His Beyer figures for his last 3 races were faster than anything anybody else in the race had run. This is the 6 furlong honorable miss, and he was facing pretty much 6 furlong specialists. But that wasn't this mare's best distance. And, as handicappers, as bettors, we all, for the most part, are looking at the same information unless we dig more out of the dirt. And it was probably, it had to be a single. But in the long run and the short run, he was a vulnerable single because that's not his best. In my opinion, it wasn't his best distance. I know you Well, you talk about how you saw the race.
Well, I saw the race and I watched it with trainer David Duggan. And I said to Duggan that the only horse that the most dangerous horse in the race was the Brittany Russell horse from the rail. But there was a caveat to that. That horse was going to win the race or lose the race on the break after the first 50 yards. I said to Duggan, if this horse gets the lead and can go slower, not faster than 21 and 4, 22, the horse is going to win. I said, just as you pointed out, the favorite was vulnerable because he was clearly not a 6 furlong sprinter. He would have had to move too early to go after the speed. And you could see, it was obvious he was not a 6. He had the best figures by far at 7 furlongs.
Right.
But this was a different game. You were playing the ones game. And I had dug myself the hole with the shovel going into that. And that race meant everything to me for the pick 4.
Yes.
Because I only used 2 horses, those 2, because I wish that you had to use the favorite. Like I'm not like being a Monday morning quarterback and telling you.
I agree with you. He was impossible to leave out, but in the long run, he was impossible to single.
When I played the pick 4, I used both with the scenario that if the 1 gets the lead and the 1 won, the pick 4 payoff would be really generous because all the money was going in on the single.
Yeah.
And after the first 70 yards, when they posted 22 and 1 or 22 and 2, I turned to David and I said, race over. And that's because this horse was just relaxed and very well balanced on the lead. And I was, one of the times I was, dead right.
Right. Well, the interesting thing to me, and I think, this is where we're having this conversation, at least I want to have this conversation, because it's kind of a lesson. And if you rewatch the race, Grand Job moved up and had absolute dead aim, right? And he'd already he was already out of his element.
Yeah.
I also
want to note as a handicapping lesson that he was the one horse, the Brittany Russell winner, was one of 4 speeds in the race. So on first glance, you're looking at 4-horse speed duel or extremely fast pace. But what's really important to understand, if you're the speed on the rail and you break alert, you are forced to use yourself to get the lead. The other speeds are looking at the paper and saying, I don't want to get in a 4-horse speed duel.
Yeah.
Striker Get Dial, whatever that name of that horse was not going to outrun the 1. The 1 was going to get the lead because the other speeds were going to allow him to secure that position and not kill each other. That maybe the 1 on paper he had beaten, 1 by 10 in a much lesser race at Laurel, but it really was off a layoff and there was more to the tank. But they were probably looking, he's going to be tested for class. Let him go. Let us stay close. But once he got the lead and was able to lay at 22-1 or 22 2/4, the race was basically over.
The fact that you were standing with David Duggan is a perfect segue into the conversation about the inquiries that the stewards have opted to make, and the failure or decision to make no decision, which is we're going to look at it and we don't see anything. David Duggan's horse was part of the most recent inquiry that got 10, 12, 15 minutes of look and no comment, if you will. And my question is, what are you looking at? If you're looking at it for a long time, what are you looking at? And what are you saying to each other? Look, all officials, all referees are human beings. They've got personal biases and subjective perspectives. And they've got a tough job, absolutely tough job. I don't care if you're the NFL, the NBA, college, high school. And all anybody really wants is some behavior that is reasonably consistent. The interesting thing right now is it looks like they're a little gun shy to me. And their consistency is, no, we don't see anything. Move on. Your thoughts?
Well, there was a race yesterday that puts it all into perspective, this whole meet, where I think the stewarding official, the officiating of the sport, I would rate it a D- at best, okay? And for several reasons. We don't know when a foul is a foul. That's number one. I don't know what is the rules of a takedown or not. They're not consistent. Number two, in the second race yesterday, Orlando Noda's horse that won the race on the turf at 5.5.
Yeah.
It was a turf race. Split horses late.
The 4 horse.
There was a bump that you saw it one time. The outside came in and the inside came out. It was an equal, no, you don't take that horse down. It was two parties that were kind of guilty of a minor infraction, right? Of a minor infraction. Where I'm in the press box and Dave Grenig and Mike Welsh are saying they're going to take it down. He came out and there was a bump, and the bump is a bump, but they shouldn't take it down. Well, they were confused. I was confused to the ruling. What's really bad optics is the 12 minutes it takes to make the decision.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's the problem. It's, I, as a race watcher for many, many, many years, makes that call in 11 seconds, right? I mean, basically, what are they like? Come on, man. Like, what do you, I don't get it. I don't get all the time that it takes to make a decision. You see the head on, you see the aerial shot, you see the back. Okay, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, come to it. They can take that 12 minutes and cut it in a third, at least. That's it. That's the problem. And I don't know when a foul is a foul. No one does.
I'm as a retired educator. I wonder, what is the curriculum at Stewart School? That's number one. And there must be models of what happens in a race that is questionable, that is definitive, and what is cut, dry, black and white. In my opinion, there has to be, so that if you're an official, you have to have something in your head. But we as bettors have no clue, which is what you're saying. We don't know. We don't know what it takes.
What I would love, and I think the betting public deserves this, is you should hear the conversation, the discussion of what's going on. We should have, or a transcript. There should be a transcript of what the decision-making process was. Not just, it's 12 minutes, we're leaving it up, that's adios. It's like, give us some clarity. Give us some clarity so we can understand the process.
There's a lot of calls for cameras in the classroom now, right? And so you're really saying, well, why don't we have cameras in the steward's booth?
It would be educational.
And what the first thing that comes to my mind is, does someone in the room go, oh crap, we got to look at something now? Oh geez, we got to look at something now. Or what's the tone and tenor?
The tone is this.
I'm sure nobody wants says, well, I hope we look at something in this race. We've been sitting here all day. There's nothing to look at.
Here's the transcript of the Wizard being in the steward's box, right? Okay, let's look at the stretch run. Okay, what decision would not have all the garbage cans on fire in the next 30 seconds? Okay, let's just end this now. Shut your mouths, leave it up. Let's move on. That would be the transcript.
Now, you see what you just said could only have happened. Could only have occurred only at the old aqueduct,
or a science fiction novel. A science fiction novel.
Yeah. All right. Well, we touched a few topics. I think everybody should hope for rain and appreciate the rain, because it'll be good for everybody. Good for the courses. It gives some relief to the horses who have to race over it, and might complicate. Hey, we haven't had an off the turf day to handicap. I know you love those days. You love those days.
I actually got to discuss a great day. Now, I don't saying the daily racing form, the head of the racing form came with her family and friends, and they were beginners. They never bet at the races. I was actually had the racing form. I was able to get them my sheet, the betting window. Okay. I was able to give them that sheet, the new product, right? Because it was very important for them to have it because it was a beginner. Right. So I made sure I had it to give them. Well, they don't know anything about betting. Right. They know, she knows business. She knows how to run the racing form, but her friends, they never bet. So I happened to have a good day on Saturday. I loved watching them love the product because it was easily understood. And I always said it's for the beginner, the novice, and the expert. Here was the beginner. It paid for their dinner. They loved the experience. They ended up knowing how to bet the 50-cent trifecta. They ended up playing the place parlay. So I have to say, of all the years I've been doing selling my product, this new product, this was the perfect venue to present this product to beginners, and so it worked. It worked in real time. So it's at least so it's that product I've been selling at wizardracingsports.com, my site, and hopefully in 2 weeks, by August 10th, it'll be available at the Daily Racing Form. But I
Well,
finally got to see somebody other than me on my customers who I don't talk to actually see real-time beginners using a
yeah.
product like they
Good.
would have used your product that you put out. Remember the
Yeah.
basic, the real basic product. What
Yeah.
was it called? The board, reading the board.
Yeah. Yeah. The odds board, the gateway to the game.
Right. And I was telling my interview with Jimmy Bond, that's how you get people to bet and put and
Become
add
fans.
money to become fans. Those people enjoyed the experience. They will want the betting window next time.
Uh, Michael, so you brought that. I've reduced our game and conversations about growing the game and bringing new fans who will stay in the game to this. There are two experiences that Thoroughbred Racing and the New York Racing Association and every racetrack in the country has to sell. One is the emotion and the joy of picking, watching, and cashing a winning ticket after your horse gets to the wire. We all know that feeling, that emotion, that experience. It's wonderful when you can share it. And it's just as wonderful in the office when it happens, isn't it? Okay.
It sure is. Now I want.
Wait a minute. The second experience, and this is the reality. Not everybody can win. But the second, and then thus the second experience is having a ticket on a horse or horses who are, number one, alive in the betting and alive in the run to the wire. So you have the emotion and the exhilaration of almost winning. So winning and almost winning are the true experiences of the racetrack. And everything else you can do at a racetrack, you can do at the Washington County Fair, the Saratoga County Fair, Carmine's Restaurant in New York City, and any place else. Everything that's social that comes with the racetrack is not necessarily germane to the racetrack. But winning and almost winning is the game we play and the game we have to offer to people who don't understand it. And we offer it to them and bring them in by the betting window and my odds board, because that teaches people how to understand the gamble.
The betting window, the experience the racing form had, the people that came, beginners, I gave them a great experience and a successful one, thankfully. They cashed a lot during the day. But so it leads to that phrase in The Color of Money, the movie. Money won is twice as sweet as money earned. But I just want to leave this show by applauding Naira for the day yesterday, Kids Day. They did a wonderful job. Now, our stars are not the horses necessarily. They are, but the real stars are the riders, the jockeys, the athletes. They did a wonderful job. All the jockeys being involved with the kids, bringing them into the paddock, throwing T-shirts, to them, high fives, autographs, a spongy giveaway of some animal, like, a starting gate race with some cartoon characters. So that experience left a positive taste in kids' mouths of how fun this game could be. They will grow up, hopefully, to be the future of our sport.
Hopefully,
we now need to educate them as they get older. We have to educate them on how to, what the game is really about. And that's the betting and the cashing, right?
Yeah.
And learning the game. So Naira did a great job yesterday. I hope at the new Belmont Park, you can't replicate Saratoga anywhere,
No.
but you can replicate it a little bit with some things you can do. They do have a backyard. The old Belmont Park, Mother's Day was fantastic.
Right. Right.
It was packed. I don't care that it's in Hempstead. You can get people from Oyster Bay, from Nassau County, from Suffolk County. Just give them a reason to come and make it affordable. Like on certain days, make beer $5, make admission free, do something families can't afford. The prices, $1 hot dogs. Don't do it every day, but you got to do things to bring people. Families don't have the money to pay for what they're charging here. Okay. So lower the prices, make some fun days at Belmont, because you could take a little bit of what Saratoga is and bring it downstate.
Okay. Michael, the Joe Migliore, the Bloodstock agent interview is up now. And
the MIG texted me. The MIG texted me while we were on. He said, outstanding interview. He's putting it on his social media, and already in 10 minutes, 200 more people watched it.
Wow.
So thank you. Yeah. Thank you to the MIG. Great interview. Next week's interview will be Jimmy Bond and his wife, Tina Bond. Then I'm interviewing the Equibase chart callers. And I want to tell them they should put in a little bit like, this horse was no go today. this horse was a prep for next time on the stretch out, like our old friend Wolfie did when he worked for Equibase.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're pretty. Them. It's really funny because they work real hard and they get a lot done in a short period of time. And what most people are familiar with are the chart notes, not the full lines in the charts that these guys write. And sometimes they're as humorous and as funny as a Jimmy Kimmel, or in how they decide to use language to say what happened in a race. So I enjoy reading the charts. We watch races, we read the charts, and we respect others. I'll be looking forward to that interview.
Only when you watch them work like we have up in the press box do you appreciate how hard they work. And they work as a team of two, and it's tremendous. I really am looking forward, because I have a lot of questions to ask them.
From the
graveyard.
All right. That's the end of this week's show. Get Tied On. We appreciate your eyeballs and your interest. And if you have any questions, concerns, something you'd like us to deal with, reach out to the Wizard at...
I don't even know my email. Can't let him reach out to you. What's your...
No.
To you, Tom.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Reach out to
at wizardpicks.com.
Wiz at wizardracingsports.com.
There you go.
Wiz at wizardracingsports.com. Right.
There you go.
And don't tell the Internal Revenue that.
Have a great week.
Take care.